The sting across her cheek silenced the entire boutique. Hannah Clark's head turned slightly from the force of the slap, her hand instinctively rising to touch the hot imprint blooming across her skin. The source stood inches away, her older sister, Bianca. Her diamond ring caught the light like a flashbulb as the last trace of movement hung in the air. Just seconds earlier, Hannah had been holding a delicate lace veil for Bianca to admire. Now, the veil lay crumpled at her feet, and the bridal party around them stood frozen in disbelief. "Get out," Bianca hissed, her voice sharp and low, but loud enough for everyone in the boutique to hear. "You're embarrassing me." The sales associate froze mid-step, her polite smile fading. Cousins and bridesmaids averted their eyes, pretending to study beadwork and satin hems. Hannah's mother, Margaret Clark, stood near the mirror with her purse clutched tightly, her expression unreadable, half warning, half command. "Don't make a scene." Hannah understood the message without words. But beneath the humiliation burning through her, something else began to rise. Calm, steady, and cold. What Bianca didn't know, what none of them knew, was that every swipe of the platinum credit card she carried in her designer purse had been charged to Hannah's account. The $24,000 venue deposit, the photographer's retainer, the catering advance, the invitations, all of it. Hannah had paid for everything, one quiet sacrifice at a time. Straightening her shoulders, she picked up the fallen veil and placed it gently on the counter. "Congratulations, Bianca," she said softly. Then she turned and walked toward the door, her cheeks still throbbing. Outside, the sunlight was blinding. Hannah stepped onto the busy Saturday street, the hum of traffic replacing the suffocating silence she'd left behind. She stood by a flower stand, opened her phone, and logged into her banking app. Her thumb hovered over the cancel card option for a second before she pressed it. 3 taps. Confirmation. Card canceled successfully. Through the glass storefront, she could see Bianca still standing on the fitting pedestal, admiring herself in the mirror. A sales associate held up a tablet to process payment. Hannah stayed just long enough to watch. Bianca handed over the card with her usual confidence, the same kind she'd used all her life when borrowing things that weren't hers. The saleswoman swiped once, then again. Her professional smile faltered. She whispered something, and Hannah saw Bianca's confusion twist into anger. "That's impossible," Bianca's voice carried through the glass. "Try it again." The associate shook her head, showing her the screen. Hannah almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then she turned away, her pulse steady and sure. By the time Hannah reached the bus stop, her phone had started vibrating nonstop.
"Mom."
"Bianca." "Mom again." She silenced it, boarded the bus, and leaned back in her seat. The city moved past her in blurs of color, billboards, cafes, people laughing at crosswalks. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a background character in someone else's story. When she reached her apartment, she locked the door, kicked off her shoes, and breathed. For once, she didn't owe anyone anything. The next morning, her phone displayed 27 missed calls and 16 unread messages. She scrolled through them over coffee. 10:15 a.m. Mom. What did you do to Bianca's card? 10:22 a.m. Bianca. Fix this now. 10:47 a.m. Mom. You humiliated your sister? 11:30 a.m. Bianca. The venue's threatening to cancel. By midnight, the tone had shifted from anger to desperation. The final message arrived at 3:42 a.m. If you don't fix this by tomorrow, don't bother coming to the wedding. Hannah smiled to herself. Without her, there wouldn't be one. At 9 a.m., her phone rang again. Unknown number. "Hello. Is this Hannah Clark?" The male voice was professional, polite, a hint of tension underneath.
"Yes."
"Who's calling?" "This is Marcus from Grand Heritage Venue. We've been trying to reach Bianca regarding her outstanding balance of $32,450 due today. She listed you as an alternate contact." Hannah let out a small, humorless laugh. "I'm no longer involved with her wedding finances, Marcus." "I see," he said carefully. "Then please let her know the date will be released if payment isn't received." After hanging up, Hannah blocked her family's numbers and turned her phone off. She slipped on her sneakers and went for a long walk through the city park. The autumn air smelled like cinnamon and wet leaves. Couples strolled hand in hand. Kids fed ducks by the pond. She stopped at a cafe she'd always thought too expensive and ordered brunch for one. For once, her meal wasn't followed by guilt or calculation. Every bite tasted like quiet freedom. When Hannah turned her phone back on that evening, a voicemail notification appeared from a familiar number. Trevor, Bianca's fiancé. His voice, when she played it, sounded tight but confused. Hannah, it's Trevor. Bianca says you canceled some card and now everything's falling apart. I don't understand what's going on. My parents are asking questions I can't answer. Can you please call me? Hannah listened twice, then typed a short reply instead of calling. Bianca told everyone your family was paying for the wedding. I've been covering the bills on my credit cards. She slapped me yesterday, so I canceled everything. I'm done being her secret bank account. Trevor's reply came almost instantly. Wait, what? She told us your parents were paying for everything. Are you serious? Hannah's lips curved into a small, tired smile. Dead serious, she texted back. You might want to check with the vendors. You'll find my name on all the invoices. She didn't expect another response, but her phone pinged again seconds later. Oh my God, Trevor wrote. She lied to everyone. For the first time in years, Hannah felt the ground shift, not under her feet, but beneath Bianca's carefully built world. By morning, chaos had replaced denial. The story spread faster than wildfire among their extended family and Bianca's friends. A cousin in the bridal party sent a screenshot of a group chat. OMG, what happened? Trevor's mom is furious. She said Bianca lied about who paid for the wedding. Hannah didn't reply. She didn't need to. The truth was finally doing what she never could. It was speaking for itself. 3 days after the boutique slap, the phone rang again, this time from a number she didn't recognize but somehow already knew. Hello? Hannah Clark? The woman's voice was smooth, cultured, and unmistakably commanding. This is Margaret Hamilton, Trevor's mother. Hannah straightened unconsciously. Good morning, Mrs. Hamilton. I'd like to understand what has been happening with my son's wedding finances, Margaret said calmly. Hannah exhaled. Everything. Everything, came the reply. For nearly 20 minutes, Hannah told her the full story. The loans, the unpaid promises, the slap in the boutique that had broken years of quiet obedience. Mrs. Hamilton didn't interrupt once. When Hannah finished, there was a long silence. I see, Margaret finally said. Thank you for your honesty. The Hamiltons value truth above all else. It seems my future daughter-in-law does not. There was a faint click as the line disconnected, leaving Hannah staring at her reflection in the dark phone screen. The next morning, Trevor called again. His voice was hollow. The wedding's off, he said. Hannah blinked. Off. My parents talked to Bianca this morning. They said they couldn't welcome someone into the family who built everything on lies. She's devastated. I see, Hannah said quietly. Trevor hesitated. Was she always like this? Hannah thought for a moment. She's always been the family princess, she said softly. Someone always paid the price for her crown. We're officially done, Trevor said. I returned her ring yesterday. I'm sorry it ended like that, Hannah replied, meaning it. He gave a tired laugh. Honestly, I'm not. I found out things I should have known months ago. I didn't realize how much debt she'd hidden from me. They talked for a few more minutes. Awkward, polite, but real. When she hung up, Hannah realized she wasn't angry anymore. What she felt was relief. Deep, unshakable relief. News of the canceled wedding spread through their town like a social earthquake. The Grand Heritage Ballroom, once reserved for Bianca's fairy tale day, was now advertised online for other couples. Guests whispered. Vendors posted subtle messages about unpaid invoices. Hannah didn't comment, but every time her phone buzzed with another gossip update, she found herself smiling just a little. Her mother, however, did not share that smile. New numbers kept appearing on Hannah's screen, always the same desperate tone. She's devastated, Hannah. You've ruined her life. Then hours later. Please, Hannah. We can't support her alone. Your father's retirement isn't enough. Hannah deleted each message as it came in. The guilt they tried to stir no longer found a home inside her. For once, she wasn't their fixer. Weeks passed. The world didn't end. The sun still rose, buses still ran, and Hannah still woke every morning without dread. She started working late at the hospital again, not because she had to, but because she wanted to. She liked helping people who actually appreciated it. On weekends, she explored coffee shops and bookstores instead of bridal catalogs. Life was quieter, smaller maybe, but hers. 6 weeks after what the family now referred to as the boutique incident, Hannah signed a lease on her dream apartment, a cozy one-bedroom with big windows and sunlight that poured across the wooden floor. As she unpacked, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Trevor, hey. Just wanted to say thank you. Not for what happened with Bianca, that's still a mess, but for showing me the truth before I made a permanent mistake. I hope you're doing well. Hannah smiled, then set her phone down and didn't reply. On the coffee table sat a neat stack of brochures, graduate programs in hospital administration. Hannah traced the edges thoughtfully. For years, she'd postponed her own goals to fund someone else's. Now, she finally had the freedom to choose herself. She poured a glass of wine, opened her laptop, and began filling out an application. Every click of the keyboard felt like reclaiming another piece of herself. That evening, she stepped out onto her balcony, overlooking the park. The city lights shimmered below, and she felt an unfamiliar peace settle over her. Children's laughter echoed faintly from the playground. Couples walked dogs. Someone played a saxophone by the fountain. It struck her. How alive the world felt when she wasn't carrying everyone else's weight. She whispered to herself, This is mine. Meanwhile, Bianca had moved back into their parents' house, refusing to leave her room. According to a cousin's message, she spent her days crying and her nights blaming everyone except herself. Margaret Clark, torn between anger and guilt, tried to shield her from public embarrassment. She's still my daughter, she told anyone who dared criticize Bianca's behavior. But in private, even she must have realized that her perfect daughter's reputation was beyond repair. Hannah's father called once, a brief, awkward voicemail. Hannah, it's Dad. Your mother's struggling. Maybe you could reach out? She's not sleeping. Hannah listened twice before deleting it. They'd slept fine when she was working double shifts to pay Bianca's bills. The difference now was that someone else was finally feeling the consequences. For once, she didn't rush to fix it. In late autumn, Hannah received a package from an unfamiliar address. Inside was a handwritten letter and a check. The letter read, Dear Ms. Clark, this refund covers the unused deposit you made for the Grand Heritage venue. Thank you for your professionalism and integrity during a difficult situation. Best regards, Margaret Hamilton. Hannah smiled as she folded the letter neatly back into the envelope. Closure, it turned out, could arrive by mail. She deposited the check that afternoon, then bought herself something she'd never dared before, a piano. A used upright, polished and slightly chipped, but beautiful. Every evening after work, she played softly, teaching herself the songs she loved as a child. The sound filled her apartment, warm and unhurried. For the first time in her adult life, she wasn't living reactively. She was creating something, note by note. One Sunday morning, as sunlight streamed across her kitchen, her doorbell rang. Through the peephole, she saw Bianca standing there, hair unkempt, sunglasses hiding her eyes. Hannah hesitated, then opened the door halfway. What do you want, Bianca? She asked quietly. Bianca's lip trembled. I came to apologize. Hannah crossed her arms. Apologize or manipulate? Bianca flinched. I deserved that, she whispered. I messed up, okay? Everything fell apart for a moment, neither spoke. Hannah studied her sister. The once flawless woman now pale and smaller somehow. You hurt me, Bianca, she said finally. Not just the slap. Years of taking advantage because you knew I wouldn't say no. Bianca nodded slowly. I know. I'm sorry, Hannah. Truly. Hannah sighed, leaning against the doorframe. Apology accepted, she said after a pause. But forgiveness doesn't mean I'll let it happen again. Bianca's eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve you. No, Hannah agreed softly. But I hope one day you'll deserve yourself. Bianca left quietly. The air felt lighter after she was gone. Hannah stood for a while, watching the empty hallway. Closure didn't come with dramatic endings, she realized. It came quietly, like a gentle door closing behind you. She returned to her piano and began to play again, something hopeful, something hers. Winter arrived with snow that blanketed the city in white silence. At the hospital, holiday lights twinkled around the nurses' station. Hannah organized a small charity drive for patients who couldn't afford gifts. She donated anonymously, slipping cash envelopes into collection boxes. Giving, she realized, still brought her joy, just not to people who took it for granted. When the new year came, Hannah attended her first graduate class. Sitting among younger students, she felt both nervous and alive. Her professor asked everyone to introduce themselves and share why they were there. When her turn came, Hannah smiled. I'm here, she said, because I spent too many years investing in other people's dreams. Now it's time to invest in my own. The room fell quiet for a second before her classmates began to clap. That night, she walked home under falling snow. The streetlights glowed gold against the white pavement, and for the first time in a long while, she wasn't haunted by what she'd lost. She thought of Bianca, her parents, Trevor, all the people she'd once tried to save. Maybe they'd change. Maybe they wouldn't. Either way, it wasn't her burden anymore. Months later, Bianca found work at a small fashion boutique downtown. A mutual friend mentioned she'd started taking evening business classes. She's different, the friend said. Quieter. Humbled. Hannah smiled faintly. Growth wasn't always dramatic. It was usually slow, uncomfortable, and unseen. Maybe Bianca was finally learning the lessons Hannah had paid for. On Hannah's 30th birthday, she invited a few coworkers to her apartment. There was laughter, music, and wine. When they toasted, she raised her glass and said, "To choosing peace over approval." They cheered. The apartment glowed with warmth and light, filled with people who valued her not for what she could give, but for who she was. As the night ended, Hannah stood by her balcony, the city stretching out beneath her. Somewhere, in a quiet suburban house, Bianca was rebuilding. Her parents were learning to live without control. And Hannah, finally, was free. She whispered to herself, "Sometimes standing up for yourself doesn't mean fighting back. Sometimes it means just stopping. Stopping the payments. Stopping the sacrifice. Stopping the pattern that keeps you small. The consequences? Those belong to them. The peace? That was entirely hers."